Rosie, I'm going to make some meatballs, some Indian-style meatballs. Now, I've got 3 boys at home and they love meatballs, but every now and again I try something a little bit different and spice it up with some Indian stuff. The little one gets a little bit funny, so I don't put as much chilli in it, but they love it. Something
Start them
different.
young. Start them young with the spices, that's what I say.
Exactly, really easy to do. Now, what I've got is some ginger here. I want you to microplane that, and here's the microplane.
Sure can.
And I've got some garlic here. Crush that and chop it. I've got an onion here, a brown onion, and what I'm going to do is dice this nice and fine so I can melt it all the way through the sauce.
Beautiful.
So what we're doing is making the sauce first, and then we're going to make the meatballs. That way, you know, it's one of these dishes that you can put together pretty quickly, and we're going to do it in about 12 minutes or so.
Ooh, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Now, the thing I love about Indian food, or most curries as well, is that the basis is usually always this: onion, garlic, ginger. And we want a gorgeous base to start with, nutritional profile-wise. I think that's really good.
Exactly, and a gorgeous bloke cooking it. What do you reckon?
Oh,
there we go.
can it get any
And
better?
girl as well, there you go. Now, I know with England, because I've spent a lot of time there, there is some of the best Indian restaurants in the world are in England. And I've travelled both India and England, and I would have to say you do have access to some of the best Indian cuisine there.
I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that. We really do, and it brings families together. We know what we like. Some people share, some people don't share. Yeah, it's a real culture thing for us going out for an Indian or having an Indian in.
Or even just a kebab, when you get an Indian kebab and they make the bread for you. Now, I've got my pan here. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to the bottom of the pan because I'm going to get everything frying up nicely.
Nice.
Now, it looks great already, doesn't it?
It does. And now what a lot of people think is they go, oh, Indian food, there's a lot of oil in that. Use very good oil, OK? And don't use any excess. Don't use that cheap vegetable oil. Some really good olive oil, and you're going to get the same results.
One of the things I like to use is ghee as well. That's really popular.
Oh, yeah, ghee can be good.
And also what I like to cook is with butter. The Indians like cooking with butter as well.
Butter.
So I just happen to have in my little rocket here, I've got some butter, and I'm just going to cut a nice little piece here. There's probably about 80, 90 grams of butter. Maybe it might be a bit more, but we're not going to put it on the scales, are we? We're just going to
We're not going
peel
to put it on the scale.
the lovely wrapper
Now,
off it.
Indian curries are rich, and I think that's why sometimes the rice does so well, because it kind of gives you a little bit of a break from the richness.
Rich, flavoursome, tasty, spicy. I love all of those things. Now, I've got some spring onion tops here. I'm going to throw this in as well. And I've also got that garlic and ginger. If you can pass that over, that's going to go in as well. Now, Rosie, to flavour up the sauce, I've got some curry powder. Now, this is a gorgeous curry powder. I use this a lot. I'll get this curry powder and I'll dust it on top of chicken thighs and dust them with a bit more flour and then fry them. They come up really well. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon and a half in there because I want lots and lots of flavour. I've also got some cumin and some coriander that's been ground, lightly toasted and ground. I'm going to put that in there. About a teaspoon of each goes in there. And
Again, curry powder doesn't necessarily mean spice. It just means a lot of flavour. You can be adding the more spice to it. So don't be scared of curry powder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Rosie, we're going to make some meatballs. And if you can grab that meat there.
Yes.
There we go. I've got some spices here. I've got some cayenne pepper, some cloves, some cinnamon, some nutmeg. I've got some cumin and coriander that's been toasted as well. And also a little bit of garam masala, which is a mixture of 5 spices. But I'll throw this into here like this because we want lots and lots of flavour in the meatballs. And I'll also add to that some salt and some pepper. A generous amount of salt and a nice generous amount of pepper. Now, over there you've got some spring onions. If you can chop the tops of the spring onions nice and fine, the green parts.
Yes, you got
and
it.
the coriander as well. If you can chop some of that nice and fine so we can throw it in here.
I mean, how many strong, potent flavours are we getting in one dish? It's just amazing.
We want to pack a punch, so the more of this spice we add in there, the better, without overdoing it, of course. In goes the stock. That'll help to thin it out just a little bit. And I'll also add some tomato passata, about 700 mils of tomato passata. Now, I've got some coconut milk here, and I'll just open the top of this. Just when you pull it off, make sure it doesn't flick anywhere.
I know we're cooking curry because my eyes are already going a little bit.
The spice is in there already.
Yeah.
Now, chop that nice and fine. And while you're doing that, I'm going to grab this garlic, ginger and chilli, and I'm going to chop this on the side here. The chilli, I'm going to use a scud chilli, which is a Thai chilli, nice and hot, and I'm going to cut that into the quarters like that, and I'm going to leave the seeds in because the meatballs are going to have this little power punch of fresh chilli straight in there, and that's going to go straight into the meatballs like that. And I've also got some garlic. With the garlic, I'm going to smash it and then chop it nice and fine. Now, ginger, what I'm going to do with the ginger is slice it and chop it up. So it's going to have little chunks of ginger all the way through it. You know, you can microplane it if you want, but I like it nice and chunky. Now, the garlic just goes in there like that, and also the ginger. Now, if you can throw those herbs into the meatballs, what I'm going to get you to do is, with your hands, mince up that meat, squish it around so you can get some lovely...
Testing the boundaries again, yeah, okay.
I want you to feel that minced meat rubbing through your fingers there and, you know, just so you can appreciate what I have to go through. Now, minced meat is one of those things that everyone has at home. You know, it's a cheap cut of meat to have, and it is so, so versatile. And I think the trick is to buy the best mince you can get.
Sure.
This is Australian grass-fed beef that's been looked after, and the mince is beautiful. Now, I can tell you haven't handled much minced meat before. I can tell that by the way you're doing it. What you've got to do, Rosie, is you've got to get in there, grab it like that, and squish it down. You want to make sure the mince works in together with all those spices. There we go. What you want is the size of a golf ball, rolled around like that, fairly sort of tight. Take your time with it, and this is something you can do really easily with the kids. Once you've rolled out a few meatballs, pop them onto the board there, and now what I'm going to do is grab some olive oil into this pan here, and we're going to brown off the meatballs. Takes a couple of minutes, olive oil in there, brown it off, and once we're ready to go, I'll put the meatballs into the sauce and let them cook for another 10 or 15 minutes so they're lovely and flavoursome. Rosie, after about 15 to 20 minutes of simmering away nice and gently, you can see the sauce is reduced down a little bit. It's got a bit thicker in colour and in texture as well. Little balls are cooked all the way through. Now, I like to finish it off with a little bit of cream. You can use coconut cream if you want, but that lusciousness of that cream makes it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
Now, I've also got some coriander there. I'm going to sprinkle some freshly chopped coriander on top of it, and it looks good. Ready to go?
Yeah, coriander and Indian food, they go hand in hand.
They certainly do. Now, I've got a lovely dish here that I've warmed up, and what I'm going to do is grab a few of these meatballs in here with some of that sauce. The sauce is so important. Look at that. Fantastic. You could even put some spaghetti with it, I think. Italian spaghetti meatballs of Indian flavour.
Hey,
it'd be great.
let's spoil your appetite. Right.
Let's suck into it. Now,
Yeah,
I
I'm going to have a little taste of the sauce.
I do appreciate
I
that.
am one of these veggies that can do that, okay? So I'm just going to have a little taste.
So you
Bit of
taste the
rice.
sauce and I'll taste the actual meatballs. You can see I've cut it in half there. It's nice and lean. You got the chilli in there, coriander and the spring onion. Got a great flavour to it, hasn't it?
It tastes like it's been slow cooked. It's just like rich. That's exactly what you want from an Indian, isn't it? I could imagine you, whole day at the cricket, been drinking some beers. Let's go for an Indian, lads.
Oh, it'd be great. And if they serve this up to me, I would be very, very happy. It's a great, simple dish, and it's quick and easy to make.
It really is. It really is. But what I want to show you is how good the Indians are also at vegetarian food and why they're so famous for it.